Dominey Drew is a spectacular CEO who has absolutely harnessed the power and the art of relationships. And I'm not talking dating relationships, I'm talking about people and relationships. She has also been able to truly be masterful at the art of the inner evolution, the art and science of mastering who you are and shattering your limits and really being able to take your life and that business to the next level. I'd like to welcome to the stage Dominey Drew.
Hello, everyone. There's an old man who sits by a fire with his young grandson. And the old man says, inside all of us, there are two wolves. One wolf is white, and it represents light, love, authenticity, acceptance, and trust. And the other is black, and it represents fear, denial, and separation. And they are always fighting. And the little boy says, but grandfather, which one wins? And the old man says, whichever one you feed. I was very unfocused. My speech was all over the place, and my attention was all over the place, and I would interrupt sentences in the middle, and I would scatter, and I was ungrounded. And so I think in an attempt to sort of focus me up, I remember my brother saying to me one day, he goes, Dominey, decide what you want to do in life. Write that shit down. And do something that moves you towards it every single day. That young man comes into my office and says, I have no idea why, but every woman I've been in a relationship with has cheated on me. And I go, great, let's start there. And we work our way back and we find what they're carrying. A little girl, experiences something in her childhood that tells her that if she gets too big, that people will leave. She won't be loved. This is a common one, actually. Not just for women, just in general. And so she avoids that without even realizing. She's, I don't want to be too big. I'd rather just sit. I'd rather read. I'd rather be a little bit smaller. It's a little more comfortable for me. Nothing wrong with being small. Somebody who genuinely, authentically wants to lead a small life and they are happy with that, brilliant. I'm talking about the one who wants to be big and doesn't let herself. Those are two different people, yeah? Big's not better than small. This is an optimization process, not a maximization process, right? And so she won't be happy. She might tell herself she's happy. Some days she might even believe herself, but she's not. And so that woman, might grow up and, have a difficult time being promoted in work, right? Being seen because she's hiding. He described himself as a serial entrepreneur. And he was probably in his 70s. I met him in a networking group of some kind. And he was, I'm sure, well into his 70s. He'd had all sorts of business. He called himself a serial entrepreneur, and he had no money. He'd never had any money. Everything, he had all these impulses to start all these businesses. A lot of them sounded great to me. No money, right? And he's still at networking events at 70-something. That's where I met him, right? Just realized that. He's still going. And so we go out to coffee one day, and he wasn't a client. I wasn't doing anything particularly with him. We just, he was just chit-chatting, and he tells me this story about when he was a kid. He said, it's funny. When I was a kid, I was playing with my neighbors at some point, and I realized that they liked my toys, right? So I sold them to them. I thought that was adorable, especially because he was an entrepreneur. Talk about your core quality, right? He was an entrepreneur. He was an entrepreneur when he was 5, right? And then he got scolded for selling his toys. He came back with, a couple of dollars or something, and was all excited and all proud. He'd followed his impulse. He was all proud of himself. And his mother was like, absolutely not. Go give them their money back. So in a way, he got his hand slapped for making money. And he developed a negative association, an image around money. And it was so powerful that for the rest of his life, he wouldn't let himself make any. He wanted to make money. He still wants to make money. He's an entrepreneur. He's got such an entrepreneurial spirit, but he took something from that experience. It's not even that you shouldn't have said to give the toys back. It doesn't matter, right? It matters what he took from life experience, right? Not the life that happens to you. It's what you decide to hold on to from it, right? So it's not that his mother was bad or don't make mental notes to not, just live your life. And then look for the patterns, and you can clear what it is that's going on under the surface. So whatever it is that's underneath the surface comes out in every single area of your life, okay? Fulfillment, happiness, satisfaction, business, finances, money issues, tech frustrations. I'm telling you, there's nothing too small here, okay? Everything from, I seem to stub my toe a whole lot to I've gotten divorced 10 times. Some forms of self-sabotage are very socially acceptable. And that's tough, because then everybody tells you that you're right. Like if you give yourself away a lot. I'm not talking about being given or being giving or altruistic. I'm talking about being a little bit of a doormat, right? A little bit of a yes person, right? Doing things you don't want to do. When your body says no, something in you, that's you, kids. That is you. That's something in you. That's you talking to you. You don't have to listen to it. Most people don't. But no, that's not just I had a thought, or I had an impulse. That is you. So every human experiences a kind of trauma or wounding as a child. If you're quick to dismiss that because you had a golden childhood, that's fantastic, great for you. It's not trauma like the way you might think of it with your adult mind, okay? So whether or not you experience, even if you didn't experience things like abuse or neglect or abandonment, although if you did experience those could have been your traumatic experiences. But really, what it is a moment when the child perceives its life as threatened. And if you think about it, how difficult is it to threaten the life of a child? Right? They're adorable, but they're useless. They can't protect themselves against lions or other humans. You leave them alone long enough, they'll die on their own, right? We are a species which adults take care, right, of children for quite a long time compared to other species. So even a small experience, which is actually not threatening at all to the child, can be perceived from their view as a trauma, as a life-threatening experience. Let me give you an example. So let's say there's a baby in a crib, right? And mom and dad are, leaning over the crib, or mom and mom, or dad and dad, or however you shape that. But let's say mom and dad now, and they're over the crib, and they're making the noises people make at babies, and baby can feel that, right? And it knows that it's safe, everything's fine. Then the phone rings. Dad goes to answer the phone. Mom's still there cooing over baby, baby feels safe, everything's fine. Dad comes back in the room and says, honey, your sister's been in an accident. And mom goes, and leaves. Now that baby is not in any actual physical danger. But, and this will depend on that particular child, that could be that child's wounding experience. Because he doesn't know she's coming back. From his perspective, all that happened is mom went into fear and then left. So what happens at this point is incredibly crucial. Children generalize their life experience to all people in the entire world, right? So what they do is they draw a kind of conclusion, okay? You've heard talks about probably thought patterns or beliefs and things like that. This is far deeper than that. This is not something you believe. This is something you know to be true. Fact. Okay? Depending on that baby, they may draw the conclusion that women can't be trusted. That people will leave me. Or I'm not enough. Take a breath. And that illusion will lodge in the subconscious and stay there. And through that baby child, adult's life, he will literally seek out experiences that prove him right about something that he doesn't even know he believes. What is it that you carry, that you assume to be true, that you assume everybody else believes, that you're generalizing? And you can identify it by the generalization. One of the reasons this is so powerful is that this lodges in the subconscious. The intention of the subconscious, and many of you may know this already, is to keep you safe, right? It's an evolutionary part, okay? Safety trumps happiness every time. So it doesn't matter how much you want something, okay? If part of you believes that that your life might be risked by achieving it, then you will not achieve it, no matter how hard you try. And here we see the explanation of why at times you probably feel like you're banging your head against a wall and not getting anywhere. You are. This is why. Evolutionarily, we are exactly the same as we've been for the last 200,000 years, right? But the world that we've grown up in is very different. Let's be generous and say maybe 20,000 years for the last, for any form of society that's anything like this, right? Nothing happens evolutionarily in 20,000 years, right? It's very, very fast. Nothing. So we're the same creatures, right? But we're raised in a very different way, right? Well, Homo sapiens have evolved to be in nomadic tribes, right? That's how we survive, okay? Some animals are herd animals, some animals are off on their own. Nomadic tribes are our way. So you may say, whoa, well, fear of rejection or somebody doesn't love you, how does that risk your life? Well, ostracization from the tribe equals death, period. You can't outrun that, saber-toothed tiger or that whatever is out there that's going to kill you, right? Can't eat on your own. We're meant to be a certain way. So if you ever experience self-judgment around things like fear of rejection and you dismiss it as silly, please don't. It is not. Anything that is strong enough to keep you from something you want so badly that you're banging your head against a wall has got to be pretty powerful. And so here we are with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. You may be familiar with the myth of Sisyphus, right, who was the king of Corinth, right? And he was arrogant, and so the gods punished him by forcing him to roll a huge boulder up a hill for eternity. And when it got to the top of the hill, it rolls back down to the bottom, and he has to start all over again. Does this sound like anybody else's business? You've gotten more negative feedback. So you've negatively reinforced the pattern that caused you to be stuck in the first place. The more you self-sabotage, the more you self-sabotage. The longer you do it, the deeper that rut is, that pattern, it's a neural pathway, it's a psychological habit. However, whatever angle you want to look at it, you're looking at the same thing. Self-responsibility changes everything, changes the entire game. It shifts you from a place of victimhood to a place of empowerment. The extent to which you are unable or unwilling to take responsibility for your life experience is the exact extent to which you are unable to fix it. To that extent, you make yourself a victim. I seem to keep attracting blank. I seem to continuously have issues with tech. I seem to keep launching businesses and they keep not being successful. I seem to keep wanting a level of depth in myself, keeps not working. I seem to never be confident in myself. I wonder what that's about, right? And that's a total shift. That is the most important shift because now it's something you can fix. Identify your two wolves. Find that moment when you identify what you want and you turn and run the other way. Or you push it away. Choose. Choose consciously. What you're really choosing between is the difference between growth and status quo. Do you want to grow, or do you want to stay where you are? Either way is okay. Just know what you're doing. I wouldn't let the success come. It's what's made the difference between being able to hear my brother's advice and actually do something about it. And it's allowed me to transition from knowing what I want to truly being what I want. Thank you so much.
What, like, one key trigger indicator would you give someone when they feel like they're starting to slip back into that negative habit or the shoulding, right? Mm-hmm. How do you get present? Because oftentimes we do things that are so subconscious.
Yep.
How do you get present to saying, wait, and catch yourself so that you can start to reverse that negative trend before it's too late?
Bring your awareness down to your body. Feel your feet. Right now, just feel your feet. You can move them if you want to, or stomp them on the ground. And what that does is it just shifts your focus. Focus is everything, actually.
I'm really grateful, and I feel like I should feel more grateful, and I don't really know how to, like, feel more grateful.
You just shoulded yourself.
Oh, but this is real, right?
This is real. It is.
Because I want them to see this,
yes.
Right? And so the first thing I will do is say, thank you, God, I woke up this morning. How does someone access gratitude, or is there a level of should?
There is not a level of should.
Awesome.
That's a great question. That's such a great question.
Well,
are there levels of should?
First,
Good.
right?
Take it. That's the next level of that's more advanced level. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So, and that was such a beautiful way that you did it because it was so smooth. And I'm sorry I called you out, but I really want to show because you're very evolved. You do this work a lot,
Yep. And
even still, it's like, oh, I should be more grateful. So anytime you should yourself, what it is, the reason why I caught myself there because I don't want to say it's not good. There's your judgment, right? That's not useful either. It is what it is, right? The reason why it can tend to hold you back from what you want is because it's arguing with reality. You are the level of grateful that you are. Now, it doesn't make you more grateful. It makes you feel badly for the level of grateful that you are.
the guilt.
The guilt. Guilt is not a useful emotion. Other emotions move through you. Guilt gets you a little stuck. It's more stagnant, right? If you did something really that you feel is really terrible, and then you feel guilty on top of it, now you feel terrible and guilty. If you clear the guilt and just let yourself feel, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, or whatever is genuine for you, that will clear the emotion, and you will then you're healing that issue. Does that make sense? So the should is an added layer of difficulty. So how do you become more grateful? Shift your focus. In the moment. What's going really well right now? Anything, any area of your life. What do you feel great about? Boy, everything's terrible. I do love that shirt I bought last week, though. Great, because what you did in that moment is you shifted your emotional state to joy. Anytime you hear, things about, success or, gratitude, things like that, they're more open, more productive, actually, emotions. And joy is the fastest way. It's like a hack. It gets you all the way to the top. So whenever you're uncertain or you're locked in your head or you're not sure where you're going or you're struggling with tech, I'm looking at you guys over there with the Internet Business Solutions over there. People like that are so useful because otherwise you're banging your head against the wall all the time, right? And so if you can shift to a moment of joy, are you where you want to be in your business? Well, not yet. But what's great is I just landed that amazing client last week. And you can feel joyful and it clears everything that you were just experiencing.
All right, Dominey Drew, everybody. Love you, bunches.
Love you too, Dad.
Get money twice.